It includes database creation, database deletion, fetching rows and modifying rows, etc. The column which can uniquely identify each record in a table is called primary key. These are all 4 types of SQL command based on their nature or function. What is modification? So here any value of a particular record has to be changed or to be modified, then we can make use of update command. Dear students, welcome to computer science classes. I am Ravi Kumar KR, lecturer in computer science, Vidhyaashram PU College, Temple of Excellence, Mysore. Students, let us start our discussion with the chapter 9, that is SQL. SQL stands for Structured Query Language. In this session, we are going to cover the topics Introduction to SQL, data types, constraints, and SQL commands. Now let us start with Introduction to SQL. So let us see what is SQL. So this SQL, the full form is Structured Query Language. So it is nothing but a language. So as all of you know that high level language and like C, C++, Java. So it is also a language that is called a Structured Query Language. And it is standard, but there are many different versions of SQL language. So it is ANSI, American National Standard Institute. So according to ANSI, it is a standard language, but we can find different versions of SQL language. And it is a language of database. So as I told you in the beginning, it is a computer language, and this language is used for work with database, or we can say SQL is a language of database. It includes database creation, database deletion, fetching rows and modifying rows, etc. So these are all nothing but different operations can be performed on database. So with the help of SQL or a structured query language. So SQL full form is structured query language. It is a language of database, and with the help of this language, it is possible to work with database like creating a database, fetching the data from the database, deletion and other different operations. Now, it is a structured query language which is a database language for storing, manipulating and retrieving data stored in relational database. So this language is used for storing data in a database and data manipulation, nothing but we have to change the structure of the database, or maybe we can update the database, that is nothing but manipulation, and retrieving the data, nothing but fetching the data stored in a database or in a table. So that is the language SQL. Now, it is a standard language for relational database system. So we have learned what is database system, and also next concept is relational database system or relational database management system. So SQL is a standard language even for RDBMS, what we say, or it is relational database management system. All relational database management system like MySQL, MS Access and Oracle and other languages use SQL as a standard database language. And what you can see here, MySQL, MS Access, Oracle, Sybase, and all these are in the SQL Server or SQL database software, and all these languages use SQL, structured query language, as their standard language to work with the database. And also all these MySQL, Access and Oracle and all these examples of RDBMS software. So this is about SQL. Now in the next slide we will see what are data types. Just like other languages, even SQL also has different data types, operators, functions, and different types of function for different computation. Similarly, even SQL also has a data types. So let us see what are all different data types of SQL. So here first one is character CHR in the bracket n. So here it specifies character type data of length n. So this is the n value, it takes the integer value. So it takes that, it indicates length of the data type. So here character data type of length n, where n could be any value from 0 to 255. So it is a fixed length, means the capacity or it stores 255 characters, or we can mention the value, any value between 0 to 255, that is character data type. Next one is varchar. In the bracket n is a parameter. So it specifies character data type of length n, where n could be any value from 0 to 65535. Now look at the difference between these two data type, and here look at the size of this. This is only 0 to 255 and it is large in size as compared to character. It is, but unlike character, varchar is a variable length data type. So normally we are using this to store alphanumeric values of or any data of type strings. So this is varchar. Next one is int. So this is int specifies an integer value. This is a data type. Float. It holds number with the decimal points or decimal numbers. And again date. Date is a data type and used for date in the format YYY, MM and DD. So this is a standard format for data type. See, these are all different data types which can be used in SQL language. In the next slide, we will see next one is constraints in MySQL. Next concept is constraint. So what are constraints? These constraints are certain types of restrictions on the data value that an attribute can have. Here, you know what is an attribute? Attribute is nothing but the column. So it is possible to have a restriction on every columns or any particular column for values, data values it takes in that particular column. That is the meaning of constraints or restrictions, or we can say limitations can be extended for different columns. That is nothing but attributes. And here commonly used SQL constraints here are not null. So this is not null is a constraint. So let us see the meaning of that. It ensures that column cannot have null values, where null means missing or unknown, not applicable values. So if you have not null as a constraint in particular column, in particular value, it accepts a valid data in that particular column. So suppose it doesn't accept any column or value to be unknown or left blank, it will not accept it. That is the meaning of not null. So once this constraint has been initialized or used, some value has to be entered in that particular column. That is not null. Next one is unique. It is a unique constraint. It ensures that all the values in a column are distinct or unique. So it is nothing but to avoid duplication of values in a particular column. So here, according to this, unique is a constraint which makes sure that no values are repeated again in that particular column. So that is the meaning of it. All the values are distinct or unique. Next one is default is a constraint. It's specified for a column if no value is provided. So if any values is not provided, suppose if I say default is a constraint that can be used for this type of data. Next one is primary key. The column which can uniquely identify each record in a table is called primary key. So you might have learned in the previous chapter about primary key. So what is a primary key? It is the primary key used to uniquely identify a record in a particular table. So it means that no two records will have the same values, but at least those two records must be different at least in one column. So that particular unique column is called as, referred as primary key. Next one is foreign key. This is another constraint. So the column which refers to value of one attribute defined as primary key in another table. So another type of key is foreign key. So it is another type of constraint. So what is foreign key? So this foreign keys come to picture when there are two tables. So in one table we have primary key. The primary key of one table must be the primary key of another table, that is second table. So in the second table, that primary key is referred as foreign key. So these are all different types of constraints can be used in SQL, that is structured query language. Now in the next slide we will see what are all SQL commands, or we can say what are all SQL queries. So here SQL commands can be classified into groups based on their nature, based on their function or the nature. There are 4 different types of category of SQL queries or commands. So they are, first one is DDL, data definition language, DML, data manipulation language, DCL, data control language, and DQL, data query language. These are all 4 types of SQL command based on their nature or function. In the next slide, we will see what is the definition of DDL command or data definition language command. So, this DDL defines the conceptual schema providing a link between the logical, means the way the user views the data, and the physical, the way the data is stored in the physically structures of the database. So what is DDL command? It defines as the schema providing the link between the physical as well as logical view of the table. So that is the definition of DDL, data definition language. So here there are 3 commands which belongs to DDL. So first one is create. What is create command? So it is going to create a new table, a view of a table or other object in a database. So create command is used to create a new table. So this it can also be used for to create a view of a table or other objects in a database, or we can say even table is also an object in a database. So this is create command. Next one is alter table. So it modify an existing database object such as table. So we are going to alter the table, or we can say structure of the table. See, with the help of this create command, we are going to create a table with number of attributes or number of columns. So in case if necessary to change the structure of the table, we can make use of alter table. This means that we can modify the existing database object, for example table. So it is possible to change the structure of the table with the help of alter command. Next one is drop command. It is to delete an entire table, a view of a table or another object in the database. So drop command is used to delete the table. So the table which has been created, with the help of create command, the table can be dropped or deleted with the help of drop command. So these are all DDL commands or data definition language commands. In the next slide, we will see DML stands for data manipulation language. So this DML provides the data manipulation techniques like selection, insertion, deletion, update, modification, replacement, retrieval, sorting and display of data or record. So this is called data manipulation. So data manipulation, it includes many functions or operations like selection, selecting a particular record or a set of records, that is called data manipulation, and insertion. So we would like to insert one more record, new record into a table, that is insertion. Deletion, it is to delete a particular record from a table, we can use this. Update, modification, replacement, retrieval, all these are different commands, comes under DML or data manipulation. So here let us see the different commands. Here first one is insert command. So this is to create a new record. Once the table has been created with the create command, at the beginning it will be an empty. The status is empty. So next step is we have to insert a record into the table, or we have to enter values into the table in the form of records. For that we are using insert command. Insert command is used to create a record. And update command, update is modify the record. What is modification? So here any value of a particular record has to be changed or to be modified, then we can make use of update command. That is nothing but modification. Modification of values of a particular record in a table. Delete. Next one is delete command, that is deleting record. So in the previous slide we have seen the drop command. This is to delete entire table, and here the delete command is used to delete one record or a group of record or a particular record in a table or in database. This is delete command. These are all different DML commands. In the next slide, we will see DCL commands, data control language. DCL stands for data control language, and they are grant and revoke. So there are two commands comes under DCL. So one is grant command. So what is grant command? It gives privileges to the user and it can be given permissions. So with the help of grant command, the user can be given permission at different level with respect to the table or a database. That is grant command. And revoke command. What is revoke command? It takes back the privileges granted from the user. So any privileges or the permissions or restrictions which are on the user, given to the user, that will be taken back. It will be revert back with the help of revoke command. So these two are DCL commands. In the next slide, we will see DQL, data query language. So under this, we have one command, that is select command. So what is the function of select command? The select command is used to retrieve certain records from one or more tables. So we know that one of the function of database or SQL language is to fetch the data. So to fetch the data or to retrieve the data, we are using select command, which is a DQL command. So select command is used to retrieve the data, fetch the data from one table or more than one table. That is DQL command. So far in this session, we have discussed about the SQL language, introduction to SQL language, and what are the data types, constraints, and what are all different commands of SQL, that is structured query language. Let us continue our discussion in my next session. Thank you very much.